Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm here today. I'm going to be talking about Rahu obsessions and Ketu withdrawals today in this video. I'm actually about to be doing a live Ask Me Anything for my members at the Visionary Pleiadian or the 5D avatar levels. But I thought before I did that, I would do a quick video because of all of the, all the wild eclipse energy that's flying around right now, all the stuff with Rahu Ketu that's happening right now in our sky, and really talk about one of the most important aspects of the nodes that it's not really drilled into and talked about as deeply as maybe it could be. I'm going to talk about this three spiritual dilemmas of Rahu and Ketu. And again, then after that, I'm going to go live at 6 p.m. Pacific time and do the Ask Me Anything with my members. So anyway, hang in there and we'll get right into this. Please like the video. Clicking like helps a lot more than you know. It pushes the video higher in relevant video searches. Also, please leave a nice comment. Comments also help more than you know as it raises the video in searches. Many times with hundreds of likes, there are only a dozen comments and they can be disproportionately negative. So be positive. Let me know if you like this. Even just a few words really helps. So subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of upcoming videos. Indeed, it's been helping a lot. The channel's growing a lot, including memberships and whatnot. You can see there's a button underneath the video that says subscribe and also says join. So please go ahead and do that. And if you do that today, you can even ask me some questions. People ask me all the time, do you ever do things where we can ask you questions? Or what do you recommend as a way to get started to stay up to date with the astrology? Is there a way I can do it? Yes, there is. Get one of the memberships. And so anyway, this is a big theme, though, right now that's happening in our lives is this, obviously, this Rahu Ketu energy that's happening. As you see, it says Rahu obsession, Ketu blindness, and the upcoming eclipses. You see, I have a few things drawn out here. It says Novice Dilemma and Rahu, and then it says Expert Dilemma and Ketu. And then it says false choice between the two. I could have said false choice dilemma, which I maybe should have put, but, to keep that theme going. But first, let me just read through this so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll flesh it out a little bit more. It says novice dilemma and Rahu. Oh, by the way, but, beneath here, you see these graphics we have down here. See this graphic of the churning of the Milky Ocean. That churning of the Milky Ocean was the forces of light and dark churning in our mind. And that's actually what Rahu and Ketu are on some level, but it's more of a churning of our past karma and our future karma, so to speak. And you can see in this graphic here, you have one side, there was all of the gods, all of the deities. There's a Shiva here. This is Brahma. This looks like Vishnu here, or perhaps this is Vishnu. And then over here, you see your everyday asuras. They even have some of them wearing horns like they're little devils. They're just the eccentric parts of our nature. And what this is really symbolizing is this angelic part of our nature. We all say, oh, I'm a good person. I'm nice. I'm holy. I'm sweet. I'm loving. I'm so kind. And yet we all also know that inside we're a bunch of irascible, lustful, we want what we want, selfish. These forces of light and dark playing in our mind, right? And so this is the churning that's happening, one type of churning and one type of opposition that is always happening in our mind and in our life. And as it pertains to Rahu and Ketu, it's often the churning between the past and the future. Again, the expert and the novice, the child and the adult. And so this opposition is something that you should really look at, because in the chart itself, the nodes are opposite each other. Like in the sky right now, we have Ketu, the south node, in Virgo, and Rahu, the north node, in Pisces. They're opposite each other. So every opposite has a harmonic tension. It's very easy to think that opposites have absolutely nothing to do with each other, but that's actually not the case. Opposites are actually mirror opposites of each other. You say something like man, woman, day, night. You know, we're hypnotically drawn to the opposite because it's through looking at the opposite that we clarify our own perspective, right? So the opposite has a harmonic tension with its, with its other self. And by the way, those opposites also live inside of each of you. You could say that you're a man or you're a woman or you're this or that, but on the karmic level, on the cosmic level, you're neither man nor woman. You've never been born. You're on the soul level a free entity that is beyond the duality and the opposites. So this is really where we need to start with all astrological conversations and really all conversations in life, but especially when we get into something like Rahu and Ketu, because they're really where we're immersed in karma of this lifetime in this world, which is the Rahu end mostly, and the Ketu end, which is that insubstantial part of us before we incarnated, like the culmination of all of your past lives and all of the things you've learned through all of your past lives is sort of summed up with Ketu, and Rahu is all of those things that you're still trying to develop. So they couldn't seem more opposite each other or seem like they have nothing to do with each other, when in fact they're always mirror opposites of each other, clarifying through a kind of, again, sort of harmonic tension what's going on, just like in the sky now, and just like in your natal chart as well. And by the way, I also just wanted to put out there that you have this opportunity. I'll just drop in the comments whoops, did I do that? No, let me do it here. Yeah, I just put in the comments for those who are watching live that if you go to Eclipse Assessment, you'll come to a page where you can get an eclipse assessment of your chart, the eclipses of this year, where I will look at how the eclipses are going to affect you, your 2024 obsessions, your 2024 blind spots and withdrawals. You see the same language here. Obsessions is the Rahu end. The withdrawal is the Ketu end. And that's going to be affecting you. It is affecting you right now, whether you know it or not, in a very specific way based on your ascendant. I'll also do a profound analysis of your chart. Of course, any planets in Virgo or Pisces in your natal chart will be very important, but even the signs around it, even if there are planets in Aquarius or Aries, again, because the eclipse has a lingering effect. It's kind of like a dimmer switch getting turned to its brightest and then dimming. And then also any planets around Leo or Libra. So again, if you wanted to do that, you could just go to that eclipse reading link. If you just type in eclipsereading.com, like you see there, it takes you to that page. So as you see here, it says Novice Dilemma and Rahu. So it says this Novice Dilemma is the illusion that I get to make every mistake imaginable, and everyone should just be sympathetic to it because I'm still just figuring this thing out. There's part of you that has that Rahu Novice Dilemma illusion, and by extension, you're 100% sympathetic with your Rahu areas of life. You can make one mistake after another over and over and over again until you're sick and tired of making the mistake. That's what Rahu is. It says, I get to make that mistake for as long as I want until I'm done, then I decide. And everybody else should just be patient, and I get to do it. And if you're not patient with my Rahu life, then there's something wrong with you, because I get to make that mistake and have no consequences. Now, again, this isn't conscious, by the way. Understand these are all deeply unconscious, subconscious issues. We don't know we're doing this. We don't know that we're in this kind of innocent area of life. Again, this is why I say Rahu is very much like the innocent child within. who makes all of these mistakes, and we're just like, okay, and we help them along. So the Rahu illusion is that illusion. And again, whether you know it or not, you carry this around. And again, if he's joined a lot of planets, he does that as well. But the good part of it, and again, it's always a divine and holy purpose to the Rahu illusion, is this is an area where your soul came here to really learn this area of life, because it's something that you were pretty neglectful of in recent past lives. So the Rahu area of life is where you're here to make all of those mistakes and learn through your own experience and your own mistakes. Because you might say, well, what is so divine about that? That doesn't sound so good. What is making all these mistakes? Why would God leave us confused and making all these mistakes? What is so holy and divine about that? Well, because when you're making all those mistakes, you're going to learn about this area of life where you don't have any experience. And so the Rahu area of life is the area of life. In some ways, it's one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason. Again, you don't like to say the biggest because people are nuanced and the charts are very nuanced. But in a very simple sense, in many ways, one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason you came here, was to gain that experience that's associated with Rahu and to go through it yourself. Now, again, we don't have to make those painful mistakes for a really long time. When Rahu is really powerful, we don't have to keep making the same painful mistake, but we're going to try it. Just like a child needs to push, needs to try, needs to provoke a little bit, and says, I'm going to keep making the mistake until I'm done doing it. That's the important thing about both ends of the node. With both Rahu and Ketu, we don't really listen very much to advice. We think we want it, but we don't really listen to it. And we're not supposed to. We're here to follow our own experience, particularly with Rahu. So we're here to keep making those mistakes until we decide it's enough with the Rahu end of the node. And that means, like in your natal chart, whatever it's influencing, the house it's in, the sign it's in, any planets that it's in, I can see where you are predisposed to try a lot of stuff, kind of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and then do it better the next time, And if it's really powerful, it can make you incredibly gifted at something, because underneath it all, it's this otherworldly perceptive awareness where your karmas are accelerating very quickly because you're obsessed with that thing. If it's difficult, though, you could make a lot of mistakes and have a hard time realizing that you're the one making the mistake. With both ends of the node, we sort of cover our tracks. There's this illusion that it's everybody else who's making the mistake when it's actually us, including with Ketu as well. So when I look at Ketu, it says the expert dilemma and Ketu. So we call this the novice dilemma with Rahu. I'm the novice and I get to keep being a novice as long as I want, and you have to just expect that of me. Think about how kids are with their parents. But I get to keep making mistakes if I want, and if you don't let me, you're mean. Even when the parent is trying to help you for your own good. I want to keep eating candy for dinner. No, eat your vegetables. No. Eventually you have to let the kid eat candy and throw up all over the place, because they're not going to want to keep doing it unless you let them suffer. Even when we can see something's going to make us suffer, the Rahu part in us we need to decide to stop doing it. That's the Rahu part. Ketu is the expert dilemma, the illusion that I cannot make any mistakes, and neither should anyone else, because I've already been there and done that. I'm an expert. So it's like the expert dilemma and Ketu. Remember I said Rahu is this soul, is this territory your soul is conquering, because we haven't been there yet. We haven't been there and done that yet, right? Ketu is where we have been there and done that, and we feel like we've been there and done that, so you can't talk to me. I have that all figured out as well. Like I said, both ends of the node are where we don't really listen, because we think we're already an expert and whatnot. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. First, I did want to just let you know about the memberships, and that if you are just joining me and you did want to ask me anything, I am going to be doing an Ask Me Anything here in at 6 p.m. Pacific, which will be in about 15 minutes, or no, about 10 minutes. And so that is at the membership level. Beneath this video, you see there's a join button and a subscribe button. Of course, subscribe to the channel, but when you click join, you're going to get access to the fastest growing Vedic astrology community on YouTube. You can see daily forecast, weekly forecast, and a lot of special videos that the members get. Again, it's very easy. All you do is you click join beneath the video. Most people get the Oracle 5D avatar level. It's less than $1 a day. You can stay connected. Tons of free videos that you get now, but also each week. Again, you can see all of the videos that you get where I do a Vedic forecast, a regular forecast, members only content. But again, it's very easy. Just click join and the pop-up comes. You select your level. Again, most people get the 5D avatar. Less than $1 a day, you get access to daily forecast, monthly forecast based on your sign. People love it, and I bet you will too. Yeah, it's already been very popular, and people are just loving the memberships. And again, we'll be doing that Ask Me Anything live here in a few minutes. But let me finish this up, because this is really important stuff. That expert dilemma is, again, this is where we've been there and done that. Before we incarnated in this lifetime, we have all of that past life experience, And so we have been there and done that. Ketu is very much related to your childhood, that childhood experience. Think of all the stuff you forgot. Think of all the things that you had nothing to do with. You think that you're here deciding everything. You didn't get to decide much of anything. You didn't even decide your own name. You didn't even name yourself. You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose where you lived. You didn't choose to be a boy or a girl. Now, again, we do a lot of spiritual bypassing and say, oh, my soul chose this, my soul chose that. You didn't choose it like you talk about choosing. It was chosen for you. You just woke up one day, you started to become aware and like, huh? Okay, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I live here, I'm this, I'm that. In fact, all of this stuff that you mostly associate with you being you is a lot of that Rahu stuff. Oh yeah, this is me. I came here to do that. But all of that stuff that happened before, that's the Ketu end. Now, how you experience it in this lifetime is there are a lot of things that you've been through. You've been there and done that. But again, it's this kind of blindness because you think because you've been through a certain part of it, and you have a lot of experience with that, that you finished it, that you know all about it. You're an expert. Can't tell me anything. I know all about that thing. But yet again, these nodes sort of cover their tracks, right? Or they kind of, there's a story, I think it was it Little Red Riding Hood or Goldilocks or one of these, Hansel and Gretel, I think it was, where they got lost in the woods. They dropped breadcrumbs to find their way home, and then the birds ate the breadcrumbs, and then they couldn't find their way home. This is a great example of like what happens with the nodes. We kind of lose the breadcrumbs back to how we got there, because it's kind of like an self-encased ignorance at times. The soul is here to awaken, but these are forces that are, again, they're unconscious, they're in the dark. And Ketu is probably the most, because it's that kind of part of your childhood that you sort of buried because it was uncomfortable, because the things that you didn't like about it, the things that you remember that were like, and I didn't choose that, right? I just told you some of the things you didn't choose, which is almost everything. But think about all those awful things you didn't choose, that you got deprived of. You weren't allowed to do this. You weren't allowed to do that. So you know all about what that's like. And so that's the Ketu part where it's like, I'm kind of, and I know all about that thing. And so you're very hard on yourself and others in that regard. So you say to yourself, I can't make any mistakes, and neither should anyone else around those things, because I've already been there and done that. I'm an expert in that thing. I know what that's all about. And anytime you make a mistake in that area of life, you're also quite hard on yourself, and you try to avoid getting too uncomfortable with that area of life. Other people, you could be it's said Ketu has a venomous tongue, where we can be very critical of others. And we have this standard of perfection with Ketu. Again, completely opposite with Rahu. Remember, with Rahu, we have no standards. I get to make every mistake in the world, and you should be sympathetic. With Ketu, it's like, I don't get to make any mistakes. I need to be perfect, and you need to be perfect. So these two are kind of like one is a blind spot internally that covers its tracks. The other is external, where we get to kind of just make all kinds of mistakes and whatnot. So the false choice between the two is the feeling that I can't have any of whatever Rahu is influencing if I allow in any of whatever Ketu is influencing. For example, let's say if it's first and seventh house. Let's say if it's Rahu in the seventh house and Ketu in the first house. Okay, Rahu in the seventh house is obsessed with like making agreements with another person, and it would be something like, I can't have any agreement if I assert my self-will at all, right? Because the first house is like our own needs and our own self-will, and the seventh house is compromising that with another person. So if the nodes are there, we're 100% obsessed with one and totally rejecting the other. At least that's where we start. We start with that false choice dilemma, particularly obsessed with the Rahu end. Because again, let's say, for example, in the childhood, if someone had Ketu in the first, their individuality was suppressed and pushed down, and in a way that they didn't like, but they learned how to not expect a lot of approval. And they learned that in order to get along, they have to be obsessed with other people and find any way to connect with them, because that's what their soul didn't really learn in the previous lifetimes. So Rahu in the seventh would be like, oh, if I want to have any connection with you, I have to completely negate myself. At least that's where we would start. If it's Rahu in the first and Ketu in the seventh, it's completely opposite. I can't have any of my own individuality if I get into any kind of an agreement. Like, it's very polarized, right? And then as we get older, the polarity calms down. Like if it's fourth and 10th house, fourth house is feelings. It's our inner strength and power. 10th house is our outer strength and power, like our work and our career. If it's like Rahu in the 10th house, it says, I can't have any worldly success if I allow any sloppy, messy emotions to get in the way, right? So it starts with this false choice dilemma is what I call it. So that false choice dilemma is incredibly important in understanding the lunar nodes as well. This is an incredibly rich area of life. I've taught on this many, many times. I have many courses on those things. I'll drop a link in the video description as well. So I wanted to go live here because I am going to be going live, as I say now, in a few minutes for my members and to ask me anything. The monthly Ask Me Anything. Again, below the video, there's a join button. You can just click that and you can join either at the Oracle 5D avatar level or the Visionary Pleiadian level. These are the two levels that get the Ask Me Anything. And then you can go from this video and ask me anything. I'm going right from here to there. I'll be there at about 6 p.m. in a few minutes if you're watching live. And again, these are a great way to stay connected, a great way to not just watch a video arbitrarily, but to get a lot of bonus videos and content. When you click the join, you see the stuff that you get. So anyway, I hope to see you over there in a bit. And I hope this video on this false choice dilemma, this novice dilemma, and the expert dilemma was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.